Grenada and the rest of the world. Another Friday, another weekend ahead of us. Certainly hope you are making it through this week with great satisfaction that you've done your best at helping to put together this beautiful little nation of ours, Grenada, sometimes called pure Grenada. I still refer to her as the Isle of Spice. Pilgrims, good morning and welcome to today's edition of Sundays with George Grant. I am he, and let's get right down to brass tacks this morning. Did you know that we have a national sports policy? Where is it? Try and find out this morning, and we're going to do so by bringing you an excerpt from last night's edition of Make We Chat. We had a very familiar name to you people, Michael Bascom. He's a sports journalist, and Michael dropped by last night, and we had a pretty interesting conversation. Yeah. We also have for you the National Report this morning. And in addition to that, we're also going to play you another segment, actually two segments with Michael this morning. One where we ask the question, do we really care about developing our kids in sports? Or is it just rhetoric? You know, there's so much of that going around. So much of that going around. Huh? And we're going to wrap up this morning's edition with another piece from our good friend out there in the Big Apple, Mr. Anthony DeRiggs. And yeah, this one, I like it because he shows a lot of the fruits and vegetables and everything that we are so blessed with on this island, and just take these things for granted. We just take these things for granted. So that's going to be our rundown for today, the 25th day of January. Let's get into our first little segment here. And I hope I have the right one queued up. I hope I do. I really hope I do. We're actually going to be starting with, do we really care? Or should I deal with the sports policy first? Huh? Take a look.
Since 2011, when Kirani James broke onto the scene globally. Even prior to that, we had Aline Francique, for example, in the winning World Indoor titles back to back. But obviously, the World Indoor, it does not, gather that sort of public attention, media attention, global attention, by the way, as probably a world championship or even an Olympic Games. And I think since then, 2011 and then 2012 in London, I think there has been this upsurge of interest, especially among track and field, both athletes and fans regarding Grenada. And there's always been the talk about what next, who's next, you know? Well, we know what had happened to Kirani within the last year or two, especially with that injury. Well, medical in particular, not to say that he had, he contracted an injury, things like that. So, and there has been the talk about who are these young athletes up and coming that probably can be a replacement, a rival Kirani, whatever it is you may think of. And I think we have experienced a sort of drought for a period of time. But within the last year or so, practically 2 years, I think, we have had a group of athletes, primarily, and I'm talking about track because we also had the field athletes like the Lyndon Victor and Kurt Felix and others. But we had a group of track athletes who came out from the St. Andrews area, St. Sass in particular, and it appears that, no one or the authorities in Grenada, had, well, I mean, I am free to say what I have to say now, had no interest in these athletes, appeared. Because, speaking to their coach and understanding the amount of appeals he have made over the period of time to try to get some attention for these athletes. And it just happened that, last year, that in his, constant appeal, and this time outside of Grenada, that a college decided to assist these guys. And we have at least 3 of them in one college in the United States, Monroe College. Then there's another one in Tennessee. And there are a number of other athletes, young athletes who have just gained scholarships. And by the way, most of these scholarships are either directly with the colleges, or their parents would have been, part of it in terms of supporting. So they probably would have gotten a half scholarship from the college, and then their parents would have, put the rest towards that and things like that. So, and there is now a cadre of track and field athletes who basically driving the process, driving the attention of Grenada when it comes to track and field, not just at the college level, but on the global scene. And I think the letdown in all of that has been the lack of support, the lack of appreciation sometimes. I know not all the time you will be in a position to give something financially, but speaking to these athletes sometimes it's just the attention, just the appreciation, knowing that they're out there representing Grenada. And sometimes, whether it's Christmas, whether it's New Year, whatever it is, not even the courtesy of a call, how you making it out, how are you doing, is everything okay? Nothing, and they're just out there. And I think to an extent, that is one of the issues, and you would have seen I've been writing about the lack of attention and lack of appreciation of our athletes and what they are doing. And on the other hand, trying to help the others who are there and looking for opportunities. You hear a lot about scholarships, whether it's to be a doctor, whether to be this, whether to be that. How many scholarships do you have for individuals who are willing to do something in sports, whether it's sports medicine, sports administration, sports management, whether it's to go out on a scholarship as, on a sports scholarship, more or less. We don't hear much about that. You're hearing all sorts of scholarships from all over, and I understand. We take what we get, but at the same time, who advocating to assist these young men and women who are destined to be the next Kiran James, Arlene Francie, and by the way, and not only track and field, whether it's football, swimming, whatever it is, whatever sporting disciplines. Because just for me to make one other point there, we have a situation where our main tertiary institution, that of the T.A. Marshall Community College, does not have a sports department, a structured sports department. So you will find the sportsman and sportswoman from the various secondary schools will perform exceptional at the inter-college championships or the basketball or netball or whatever. And they go into the TAMCC, and that's the end of their sporting career, because there isn't any continuity. Because TAMCC as a tertiary institution does not have a sports program. They do not even participate regularly in any of the sporting competition. Unlike some other islands where they have probably 2-3 tertiary institutions, they can have competition among themselves. But you find where a lot of these young 16-year-olds, 70-year-olds, good academics, good sporting ability, whether it's netball, cricket, whatever, but because of that lack of sporting structure within the tertiary institution, particularly TAMCC, that's the end of them. So they give it up altogether. So it's just the 1 or 2 who probably will remain steadfast, who will probably move on from the high school, the secondary school, probably straight to a college or something like that, because they have 1 or 2 who did that this year. They left high school. They did not go to TAMCC. They left their secondary school and they went into a junior college here in the United States, because if they had probably took the step and go into TAMCC, they probably thought that would have been the end of their progress in terms of track and field. So that to me, some of the concerns, even though we have a cadre of track and field athletes now out here who are doing pretty well. And by the way, not only in the United States, we also have those in Jamaica. I've been writing about a few of them in Jamaica. They have decided to do their sixth form in Jamaica. So after graduating from SASA, graduating from the GBSS, they went into Edwin Allen, for example, to do their second year or their sixth form there. They went into Kingston College, these two schools in particular. And I think all of that had to do with the determination of the athletes, the assistance of their coaches, and their parents supporting them as well.
You know what's really troubling, Michael? This is really troubling. You know, you're talking about failure as a people to reach out to the athletes. And interestingly, you're not talking financially. You're talking about other means which really don't cost that much money. A phone call, maybe a letter, an email. How you doing, bro? We'll go. You know, people could argue and say, well, Grenada does not have the monetary resources to give to these people. I can understand that. But there's just something about the Grenadian mindset that we really don't support our own. And Catherine was bunging away along those lines earlier on, and she's done it over and over on this program. The fact that we're just lacking something in our mindset that is so valuable and cost virtually nothing. Just being there for people.
Yeah, and just to follow up on, I had a question, Michael, just to follow up on what George said too. Why do you think there's that lack of interest on the part of the public and certainly the support from government as well? And is that in any way related to coverage of sports in Grenada and, in the media?
Yes, to an extent. You tend to, and I'm being honest about it, it seems to an extent, and let me just briefly on the media in terms of that, the interest seems to be when there is a big event, and not so much so on, the quote-unquote smaller events. So, for example, last week we had cricket in Grenada. And that's why I'm saying not just track and field athletes. We're looking at sportsmen and sportsmen in general. The crop of the Windward Islands team, the likes of the Devon Smith and the Sherman Lewis who plays for West Indies and, the Roland Cato, etc. The best of Grenada's cricketers on shore. And playing against Jamaica, which also included West Indies players. And there was just a lack of interest. A lack of interest among the public and others, And I'm just using that. However, let's say, well, I'm not even sure if, West Indies is doing something now. So, I wanted to say, but the big stars up here. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone everyone becomes an authority on it. Everyone speaking as if they have been there, they know everyone, things like that. So, and I'm saying that we show a lack of appreciation for even our up and coming stars. The Grenada Athletics Association had 4 mini meets within the past few months, including last weekend there was one at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. I was looking at the videos, and I'm telling you, it was very disappointing to see the lack of interest shown by the public to see our athletes compete, our own Grenadian athletes competing. And by the way, we'll come on to that in a while. Some of the same athletes who we're hoping to see at the quote-unquote branded intercall. So when you hear a lot of folks talking about the intercall and they support the children and the children suffering and these sort of things like that, so is rubbish. Because that is where they're supposed to support them, and not just at Intercall.
Yeah.
Why? The event was basically free. It was basically free, and I have the videos are there. And when you look at it, and I'm seeing some of these same people all over social media about they care so much about these athletes and the children suffering and this and that. Oh, because it's Intercall. And you know, for most of them, Intercall for them is on the final day, probably with the last two events, the relays.
Yeah, the relays.
You know, we'll get to that in a while, but I'm just telling you that to me, and it comes back to your question, Margaret, and also answering George's point, the lack of interest. So some of them is not so much so the finance, you know, the money, but the support, and not just government, but even from the public, even from those who clamoring to be, you know, supporting them and wanting to see them succeed.
And
this is where you
volunteers and those clamoring to be volunteers.
Volunteer, yeah, this is where you have to support them.
He said it all, didn't he? Michael Bascom. Again, that's an excerpt from the program we did last night. And just before I move on to the national report, I want to say good morning to the folks who are out there with us on Facebook this morning. T.F. Richard says, hey, George, maybe the fiscal space doesn't allow them to give support to the athletes. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We're also joined by Ricey Francis, or Rissy Francis. She's saying splendid good morning to you folks. Also, Fitzroy Adams is with us. And Veronica is wishing you guys a very blessed day, us guys and gals. And by the way, TF said that last night's program was lovely. I thank you, TF. John, hello, John. Good talking with you yesterday. John is saying good morning from number 7. Cassandra Mitchell is wishing everybody a blessed Friday. Celia Maria Flanders is out there in England with us this morning. She's saying good afternoon, sunny Grenada, from a cold London, England, wishing you have a wonderful, beautiful, happy weekend. Girl, I'm looking forward to my weekend. I most certainly am. T.F. Richards is there. Margaret says, happy Friday, everyone. Have a great, haha. Margaret, after all the time I have spent teaching you how to spell great, you still can't spell great? G-R-E-A-T, Margaret, not G-R-8. Please, Max. Jeez. Who else is there? Sharon Elizabeth Roberts is saying, happy Friday, folks. This is the day that the Lord has made. And what a beautiful day it is. You know, Sharon, you're absolutely right about that. As always, Georgie was on the balcony out there this morning. And it's very, very quiet out there. The fishing boats are in port today. For the Billfish tournament, they're in port. Today is their lay day. That's the day when if you go down to the yacht club, food and fit for so, okay? And as far as cruise ships are concerned, there's only a teeny weeny little one that came in a short while ago, and she's tied up at the Burnside dock. She's not at the Melville Street terminal. Ashton Thomas is saying good morning from Toronto. Hello, Ashton. Folks, so let me take a quick little break here, and we'll come back with part 2 of Michael Bascom. And this is where we're going to ask the question, did you know that there is a creature called the National Sports Policy? Hang in there.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us as we energize our Spice Island.
GRENLEG, energizing our Grenada.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Well. Margaret, yeah, Margaret, you smart aleck. Margaret says, that is I am speak, George. You need to get on board with that. The way she spelled great. By the way, good morning, Mr. Howard. Anthony Howard is saying good morning, George and friends. It's time for me to hit the doors to make that dollar. Certainly hope you have a good day at the office, sir. Now, the question was, is there a sports, did you know that there is in fact a sports policy here in Grenada? But like so many other policies, it's sitting on a shelf somewhere, huh? And Michael is of the opinion that, maybe if this sports policy had been implemented and was in effect, the dilemma that we find ourselves in right now with the intercall games might have been a little bit more appropriately addressed. But again, only if the policy had been implemented. Check this out.
But in all that we have been saying, I want to bring something to the attention of the folks here, and that has to do with something you have been hearing about for a while, and I've been clamoring over and over, especially to the national associations who represent the sportsmen and women. There's something called the National Sports Policy. The National Sports Policy is legislated, so it's law. It was passed in, I think it was November 2010 or sometime in 2011, but it had bipartisan support. I know this is an American term, bipartisan, but at the time, the opposition supported it, right? In fact, the current prime minister was opposition leader, and I recall him in parliament basically stating that he gives this full support. In fact, he even spoke about it, the National Sports Policy himself. There were 4 members of the opposition at the time in Parliament, and they basically supported it. So it passed bipartisan support. And I'm still asking the question to this day, 8 years later, 8 or 9 years later, why haven't we implemented the National Sports Policy? It's there. It's the law.
Maybe the fiscal space don't allow.
No, and that to me, in fact, I recall the leader of the opposition saying he supports it. His only concern at the time had to do with the funding. So the answer was, we do not have to implement wholesale. We can phases. There are aspects of the National Sports Policy that can be implemented, Pat, to be honest with you, what is happening today regarding the governance of sports and all that's happening regarding even the quote-unquote intercall could have been addressed in the issue of the National Sports Policy. If you read the document, you will see a whole new structure in terms of the National Sports Policy, the implementation or the establishment of a National Sports Council, parish sports councils. So in truth and in fact, if we had a situation like that, there wasn't the need for government or ministry because we could have worked with the Parish Sports Council or the National Sports Council, and by now the whole issue of the how sports is governed and administrating Grenada would have changed. Let me just, I always keep it with me because it's part of my sports Bible regarding Grenada, and there's a section in it in the preamble that basically addresses an issue. It says, while sporting activities and competitions are an integral part of the activities of the education system, there is not a consistent philosophy and approach guiding sports activities at the school level. This is in our sports policy. It addresses the issue, and it addresses the current issue as well, because it says that there is not a consistent philosophy and approach guiding sporting activities at the school level. And it goes as far as saying it has therefore meaning the government, this national sports policy to provide a framework for the development of sport in Grenada, and also to guide the relationship between the ministry and, the various stakeholders and things like that. So, and, the whole rationale of the sports policy, therefore, is based on the conviction that Grenada can capitalize on the increase the benefits to be derived from sports by implementing relevant structures and mechanisms to build and enhance the manner in which sports and sporting activities are organized and implemented. It's broad in itself, and so many things in it that we can look at and ask ourselves, why haven't we taken that approach to implement aspects of the sports policy? And by now, would address so many issues, including that of incentives for our sportsmen and women when they represent Grenada. In the sports policy, it does not say in dollars and cents, but it speaks of incentives for even the coaches. It speaks of incentives for businesses who give the time off for national representation. So if I have a business and I have a footballer, for example, he can get the time off, and as a business place, there is incentives in that, including tax write-offs, etc. Incentives for the businesses as well to encourage the national representation. It addresses, the sports policy addresses that. And I'm asking the question, and I continue to ask the question, why our national federations, sporting federations, are not pressuring the authorities to implement some aspects of the national sports policy, because it's in the interest of the associations and their charges. It's not in the interest now for the government. And I mean, if I'm the government and you're not coming to me, I could always say, well, yeah, federations they have no interest in it, so what's the big deal? The associations have to take up the mantle and say, hey, we have participated in the national consultations. By the way, I even traveled to Grenada during the consultations to participate in them. We have participated in it, and we think it can benefit, even if it means in some cases we may have to, after 8 years, we may have to look at certain aspects of it and improve it. But it's the law. It has been legislated. It's just but
laws can be amended as the need be.
Yeah, structures are there, but we're just not adhering to them.
What you are saying, in my mind, says one thing. We're not the least bit interested in national development and development of the country. This thing called Project Grenada is a joke, an absolute joke. I don't know who coined the phrase or why they coined the phrase, but it has absolutely nothing to do with national development. Because for something to grow, it has to go from the root. You can't have branch and leaf if you don't have root. And if things like the national sports policy, we're speaking specifically to sports now. If you do not go to the root and have a proper foundation, forget about everything else. Forget about coming to campus, set load, teachers decided not doing it, we go do it. That's not helping nothing. That is not enough plaster on a sore foot. That is just a sore foot running. You see? So,
you know, and you know what is so interesting about that? The president of the Olympic Committee of Trinidad and Tobago, in his end of year address, he urged sportsmen and women in Trinidad to put pressure on their federations to come up to start working on a national sports policy. Grenada has one, eh? But here is Trinidad and Tobago with all the resources in terms of facilities and, you know, world-class velodrome and stadia and swimming facilities, all of that.
Hold on, Michael.
They're talking about a sports policy.
Is there any copyright attached to it? You can sell to Trinidad.
No, Mr. Leon Charles was the main facilitator in getting the sports policy. He was contracted at the time to put the sports policy, and it involved a lot of consultation and things. But I'm saying it was easier in the context of Grenada because, you know, you have probably about, you know, 12 or so national federations, and it was easy to just have a couple consultations going around. When it comes to places like Trinidad and these other places, and you have all these quote-unquote major sportsmen and women with all these various views, this is things that will probably take a couple of years. But the fact is they're talking about it, which is important. And I think we have to start looking at that because it addresses a lot of the issues. Because all for now, and going back to the current issue and the current impasse, I'm not too, you know, involved or, you know, have much information regarding how they reach where they are. I'm just concerned about what has taken place, because I know a lot of the teachers, and I made that point, as you would have seen, since December 1st. In fact, I wrote two posts.
I remember that.
December 1st and December 4th. And I said, if this current impasse is not resolved, we stand the chance of this, that, and the other. We have to start working on that. And I was sort of surprised that with the talks that took place, the discussions that took place over the period of time, that probably didn't even come on the table. Because if we were so concerned, that should have been something that could have been rest on the table, yeah?
Yes, sirree. Yes, sirree. Michael. Boy, he hits the nail on the head. Thank you very much, Michael. I do hope that you'll pop in from time to time, keep us company here on Gudday Grenada. And hey, Sundays with George Grant as well. Folks, you're probably wondering what happened to the National Report today? Well, National Report's coming your way right after this.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical, and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners, and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandans, and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Customs and Excise Division surpasses 2018 revenue target. Stay with us, we'll have the details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, 24th January 2019, I'm Delroy Louzan. Grenada's Customs and Excise Division has surpassed its 2018 revenue target by more than $29 million. This was revealed during a ceremony on Thursday in commemoration of International Customs Day 2019. Customs Officer Kim DeBellot says while the division placed emphasis on certification and in-house staff training in 2018, the highlight is a surplus of more than $29 million.
The target set was $344,435,179. We collected $369,408,619.62, giving us a surplus of $25,959,475.24.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Mrs. Ophelia Wells-Cornwall, encouraged the members of staff to use the successes of 2018 to fuel their endeavors for 2019.
It means reconfiguring yourself so that you can catch up with the demand of the time. It means leaving your comfortable environment to navigate a newer way for doing business. It means growing up, learning from the past experiences, gathering more tools, shaping our minds, developing our talents, adding more skills, meeting people, expanding our level of influence, and many more. And I can see, based on what Mr. Bella could have explained, we have quite a bit of persons expanding their knowledge and expanding their skills, and I want to encourage you, keep on that path.
The World Customs Organization is dedicating 2019 to the swift and smooth cross-border movement of goods, people, and means of transport. International Customs Day is being recognized on Saturday, January 26, 2019. The celebrations will be held under the theme, Smart Borders for Seamless Trade, Travels, and Transport. With research showing that 26% of children in Grenada are obese, Chief Medical Officer Dr. George Mitchell is making a commitment to start the process of having legislation implemented to protect the health of children. That commitment was made at the start of a one-day anti-child obesity consultation on Thursday.
I want to be the first to lobby with my minister to say to him that you need to go to cabinet and convince your cabinet colleagues, and by extension your parliamentary colleagues, to adopt the appropriate policies and legislation to protect our students and by extension our country. I want to be the first to do that. But to do that, you must speak up. You must tell us in that outcome document that this is what we want, and we will take that and ensure that the necessary policy legislation are lined up to protect our people and our students, of course.
Dr. Damian Greaves is the chairman of the National Chronic Disease Commission. He says research shows that in the Caribbean, 1 out of 3 is obese, and in 11 CARICOM countries, 10% of children are obese.
Grenada's scorecard is not complimentary. This is not the time to lay blame on who is responsible. This is the time to take action to make sure that our children are protected, because if we are afflicted with that particular ailment of obesity, it means it's going to spell disaster in the future for our children, for our people, because they transit from that particular ailment to various chronic diseases, various cardiovascular diseases. And by extension, it will affect our community, our individuals, our households, our communities, and the country at large in terms of its productivity and the production of wealth. that must redound to the benefit of the people socially, economically, and otherwise. So our school environment has to be looked at because we believe that there's an intricate link between health and school.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Ms. Pauline Peters, says they are concerned about the rise in childhood obesity. She says adults must lead by example.
In Grenada, our statistics reveal, and Dr. Damian Graves mentioned some of it before, that 26% of our children are obese. 1 in 3 are obese or overweight. And 52% of our adults are obese or overweight. And you know, we may wonder why the statistics are so alarming. One of the key reasons is that our children engage in little physical activity. And even us as adults do not engage in much physical activity as well. Typically, we should allow our children to have at least 30 minutes of physical exercise on a daily basis. But what do we do as adults? We allow our children to consume processed foods with high salt content and loads of sugary beverages. They eat little fruits, vegetables, and foods with a high fiber content are seldom consumed.
You're watching the National Report. Stay tuned. We'll have more news after the break.
The pride and joy of a nation is its flag. Its colors and arrangement makes it significant and stunningly beautiful. On Wednesday, February 6th, it's National Colors Day. Every proud Grenadian is asked to deck off in clothing highlighting the colors of our flag. Whether you are dressed for work, daily routines, or casual engagements, showcase the true Grenadian spirit. Every ministry, every department, and all workplaces are encouraged to join in. National Colors Day, Wednesday, February 6, 2019. Endorsed by the National Celebrations Committee. Our people, our colors, our day. On Wednesday, February 6th, National Colors Day.
Welcome back. The Budget Marine Spice Island Billfish Tournament, which pumps in excess of $1 million in Grenada's economy, is well on the way, with anglers from the host country, as well as regionally and internationally. The tournament is now into its 50th year, and according to the chairman of the committee, Richard McIntyre, it continues to make a significant economic impact on the local economy. This year's event has recorded significant participation, with the largest entry of boats coming from Trinidad and Tobago, with Grenada being second with 17 boats. This is the first time Grenada has entered so many boats in competition. Mr. McIntyre says the event also provides an opportunity for local businesses to market their products.
Well, we have 17 fishing boats from Grenada. It's probably the most we've ever had, and they're going to be participating. I'm not sure what exactly you mean in terms of activities on shore. I know we've invited all of the cocoa manufacturers to come here on Tuesday, tomorrow afternoon, so it gives them an opportunity to sell some of their products and so on. So, vendors, we try to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity. And this is what it's all about.
He says the support received from the government of Grenada speaks to the commitment to the economic and social development of the country.
But I think our tournament has grown because we have everything falling into place. We have government support, we have sponsor support, we have tremendous fishing ground, and we have the fisheries assistance as well, a lot of other sponsors. And then, of course, then we have a nice facility that we can dock the boats, and it's still in the construction phase, but I believe that we're going to get it done by the end of February. And what is so heartening is that everyone has said how lovely it is to come here to Grenada, and that makes us feel very, very happy.
The tournament, which commenced on January 21st with registration and captain's briefing, will climax on January 26 with an awards ceremony at the Grenada Yacht Club. And finally in the news, teachers and students of the Uganda Martyrs Catholic School were the recipients of educational supplies on Monday. The donation made by the Happy Family Day Celebrations Committee in the diaspora was presented to the school by local president of the committee, Mrs. Eunice Sandy David. The supplies will be shared between both the primary and pre-primary levels, along with supplies for the medical station. She encouraged the students to make use of the books and educational toys to enhance their learning.
This morning, we want to present you with some toys, right? Various toys, and these are toys to share, not to grab and take home. It's to share while you're in school. And we're presenting toys to both your school and also the pre-primary school, all right? In addition, we want to present a few reading books, which are very, very important. Because what I would like, I see some people giving me the thumbs up, because what I would like you to do is to read, read, read. Not just be on the gadgets that we like to play with, cell phones, etc., but read as much as you can, because it will help you with every aspect of your learning.
According to Mrs. Sandy David, the committee is also donating reading glasses for the students from the Lions Club International.
We want to also donate about 50 to 100 pairs of reading glasses, all right? And it's both for yourselves as students and, of course, our teachers. So you want to use them like a library. So, for example, if you forget your glasses, you break your glasses, then you have a pair of reading glasses as a temporary measure so that it doesn't spoil your day. That's both for you as students and our teachers.
That story concludes the national report for Thursday, 24th January 2019. Recapping the headline, Customs and Excise Division surpasses 2018 revenue target. On behalf of all who made this newscast possible, management and staff of the Government Information Service, I'm Delroy Lozan, thanking you for joining us.
Yes, sirree, there you have it, the national report. Now, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, one of the things I really enjoy about sitting in this chair is noting the reaction of you folks out there to the national report and things that we're being told, okay? It tells me that you folks are listening. You're paying attention. I have to confess to you that sometimes, having done this for as long as I have, sometimes I get a little bit tired of the rhetoric, and it goes in here, comes out there. But you folks are paying attention. And I want to share some of the comments that were made. I'm really impressed to see some of the comments that were made during the national report. First of all, let me acknowledge the fact that we've been joined by Glenn Andrew, Lydia James, Lincoln Roberts, Bernard Gilbert, yeah. Now, first comment. Lydia James says about a piece that came out in that national report a little while ago. All that surplus and the roads and health in that state? What are they doing with the surplus? Can't answer you. I can't. John says, and he's referring to parish number 7. John says, a school here has a table right outside the school, gates jammed with sugary things. Yeah, John. Yeah. But I'm sure you've heard stuff like that before. Margaret says, good talk about foods that are highly processed, full of sugar and salt. But the reality is that the cost of good food is often beyond the reach of those who need it most. Mags, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? There's some things I know I should be eating. I just can't afford to do so on a regular basis. Glenn Andrew Mark says, the fondness for fast food is taking a particularly heavy toll on our children. Again, the absolute truth. Then Margaret says to Lydia James, there's a difference between what is supposed what is supposed to be and what is. You can read through the lines on that one. Lincoln Roberts says, small changes in your diet will do wonders. Cut back on salt, sugar, fried foods. Drink more water, walk, and laugh more. Yeah, we got to laugh a little bit more. Okay, now, take another break. And then, speaking about foods, this piece that I'm going to run this morning by Anthony is, let me see, just hold on a sec here, just let me pull this up. I want to tell you what it is captioned. It's captioned, thank God for our blessed soil. Boy, Anthony, if only we made more use of it. And Bernard has just posted something here on Facebook. He says, we have to learn to eat what we grow. Amen, Bernard, amen. Take a break, come back with Anthony. Boy, you're going to see some beautiful looking food. All right, a couple more comments about the food issue here. Bernard Gilbert said a little while ago, we have to learn to eat what we grow. And that's fine and good. Well, Veronica Sandy agrees with him, but she says, and grow more of what we eat. Then Margaret responds to Bernard by saying, Bernard Gilbert, nice talk about eating what you grow. But where will you grow it when all the agricultural lands are being, hold on a sec here. Oops. Ooh, my goodness, my little thingy here froze. Yeah, she says, where will you grow it when all the agricultural lands are being sold for so-called development? Again, thinking minds out there on Facebook this morning. Thinking minds out there on Facebook. Bernard says Grenada has good soil, but yet farmers are using fertilizer. Organic is the way to go. And you know something, Bernard? From what I sense out there, more and more people are gravitating to producing organic food here in Grenada. Margaret says, ask the grabament about its land and agriculture policy, assuming that such a thing exists. Yeah, you heard Dunstan Campbell here a couple of weeks ago. He's coming back, by the way. And grabament. Veronica Sandy says, last couple of weeks I saw that they cut down cocoa trees to plant sugar cane. Why? Is rum better than cocoa? I don't know. Maybe. Well, you know, I understand that our kids are consuming more and more alcohol today. Hey, you got to keep them satisfied, eh? Yeah. You know, folks, I want you to take a look now at what we eat from a slightly different perspective. Not much more I have to say, except here comes Mr. Anthony DeRiggs.
Grenada. Not only spice, but fruits for soul. My Bajan friend once said to me, Ma, if you plant a rock in Grenada, that rock will grow. Yes, the soil is fertile. Don't worry when them people tell you that agriculture is not important. You see, you have to have a historical mind to know the importance of agriculture. Because back in the Second World War, when boats could not travel freely to the Caribbean, the fruits, the vegetables, and all the plants that grew became so very important. Ask the elders about the part that the breadfruit played, breadfruit flour, and the coconut, and the various other fruits and plants that came in handy during the World War. We don't know what will happen in the future. The soil could be our savior. So let them bamboozle your mind and tell you that agriculture is not important. Not only spice, but fruits for soul. Well, hear this. So I hear that you go and tell people that we don't have apples. Well, march right back and tell them of our custard apple, our mammy apple, our golden apple, our sugar apple, our star apple, and our pineapple. And then they might feel to suck some plum. Well, offer them the yellow Chinese plum or the big Jamaican plum, the one that we use to make the plum stew. Make sure you offer my good Trini friend some palm city golden apple before them greedy Manikou eat all. Manikou still exists in Grenada. The agouti, it was plentiful in the time of the indigenous Grenadians. Now all but a memory. Remember to try a piece of zaboka and a shebo mango on my tree in Montjalou. You're passing by Grenans? Please give some of the sea grapes to the foreigners. Save some for me. Hope to gobble down some on my next visit to Grenada. I like the ones that the sun burn a bit. Those are my favorites. And that's the sweetest ones. Leave a stone, eh? Leave a stone around somewhere so I could bust a almond. Almond. Could bust a almond or two. Please don't eat all the damsels and save some governor plums. I might need to make some gospo juice, or to use it as a cricket ball as when I was a little kid growing up. Now gospo opens your appetite so you can devour some fat pork. When I say hot fat pork, or French cashew. Now if my blood pressure goes up, I hope to have some soursop juice. I'll mix it with a little condensed milk and put it in the fridge to make blocks like Mommy Georgiana used to make. Soursop ice cream and soursop blocks. Well, in case I can't go off, mango might do the trick. Well, if mango don't work, grab some sandbox. Watch out for the sandbox. You eat sandbox, you better prepare for the Battle of Waterloo in the toilet. Coconut water, they say, is good for your daughter. You remember that song? Good for you too. And for that by Grenans, they used to sell them one for $1. But where are the coconut trees? I might even feel to try a palmis, like I did as a little boy. Palmis. Little boys eat anything. Those palmis trees, they ain't plain, they could go tall now. Who knows? Palmis might be good for something too. Perhaps them doctors didn't even know that. They're discovering things every day. So we have a lot of citrus. Make some lime juice and cut your nature if you're feeling too hot. Lime juice will cut your nature. You don't drink too much. Then suck some grapefruit orange. Grapefruit orange with a green skin. Or tangerine. We used to have something bigger than a grapefruit. We used to call it jug. Belly full. One jug will fill up your belly. And you could make orange peel tea with the orange skin. I can't do that here in Brooklyn. Can't do that. Not in Brooklyn. Because the polish the oranges, they polish them, they make them look nice and pretty. I ain't want to poison myself. But you can always go back to the reliable gospel. The lady in the boat with the yellow petticoat, Mama Sipot, our fitting description for our Mammy Apple. So thank you, Papa God, for our many fruits. And tell them people who saying that we ain't bound to plant, tell them they know what they're saying. Because the soil could be our savior. Anthony DeRiggs. Boy, you see fruits? Look at that sugar play. See the 5 finger, the bananas, avocado, skin up, chin up, call it all kind of name. Guava, good for you. So you see what I'm telling you? The land is fertile, it's a blessed land. And the stigma that existed after slavery, because after slavery, nobody wanted to work the land. You gotta forget that. Fork up your land and eat what you grow. And grow what you like to eat. All organic stuff. Or fast food when I was growing up. God bless.
Okie doke. Thank you very much, Anthony. And Veronica Sandy says, so much apple we have in Grenada. Whoa. Margaret says, Governor Plums. You know how long I ain't see that? Veronica says, yes, I know, Margaret. A long time for me, too. These folks like Governor Plums. Folks, we have now taken you 8 minutes past our schedule. I'll tell you what, time to pull the curtain down. But I do have something I want to share with you. Again, something that just made me stop and think this morning. At about 18 minutes to 9, so about 26 minutes ago, I received an email from the Grenada Tourism Authority. And it's captioned, Grenada needs you to vote every day in the USA Today Top 10 Best Travel Awards. The release says, Grenada is currently ranked #1 as the best Caribbean island for romance. And that's in the USA Today Top 10 Best. That's their Reader's Choice Awards. It says, vote to keep us at #1 and vote in all the other categories in which we are mentioned. Categories such as Best Caribbean Beach Bar, Best Caribbean Rum Distillery, Best Restaurant in the Caribbean, Best Caribbean Resort. And I'm seeing this and I'm thinking, you know, when you tell me that Grenada is #1 as the best Caribbean island for romance, I'm thinking that they arrived at that award, that designation, you know, based on objective reports that they have gotten about romance in the Caribbean, or the best restaurant, or the best rum distillery, or whatever. But when I see here, it says you can vote every day. So let's let's assume now we may not have the best rum distillery, but if a whole side of us got together and decided to sit down there and just vote every day, every day, every day, every day, are the results, when the figures are totaled, are the results legitimate are they accurate? Or is it just that Grenada responded more than other places did? Vote every day. What legitimacy is there in that? Anyhow, just me. Folks, your inspiration for today, Proverbs 23, verses 4 and 5. Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Do not trust your own cleverness. Cast but a glance at riches, and they're gone. For they will surely sprout wings and fly off to the sky like an eagle. Proverbs 23, 4 to 5. Folks, there's a lot more to life than wealth, monetary wealth. On that note, I'm going to wish you and yours a wonderful weekend. You have a good time. And please find some time to join us on Sunday morning for the next edition of Sundays with George Grant. And then next Monday for another edition of Gudday Grenada. Georgie Porgy sending God's blessings your way, and by his grace, I'll see you on Sunday.